My name is Benjamin Bagby. I'm the director of the Sequentia Ensemble for Medieval Music. We've been involved in this project of the Metra of Boethius since 2014, 15, 16, working constantly with Sam Barrett of Cambridge University, and we hope to show in this film some of the work we've been doing on the realizations. This instrument is a reconstruction based on some fragments which were found in an excavation from the 7th century in southern Germany, in the town or near the town of Oberflacht. Unfortunately, most of the instrument had been destroyed over time, but enough was still existing and still recognizable as a musical instrument to be copied. And the museum, the Archaeological Museum in Stuttgart, gave this job to a harp builder in Wiesbaden named Rainer Thurau to make a reconstruction based on the fragments they had found. And this is what came out, and it's actually a hollow instrument. It looks like a plank of wood, but it's hollow inside. You can hear by the resonance that it's hollow. And it has 6 strings in gut strung over a movable bridge, which is not fixed at all, with a tailpiece and 6 pegs. It's the simplest possible construction, and indeed we find many other harps of this nature all across, especially southern Germany, but north of the Alps generally, and into England, with a similar construction, most famous of which is the Sutton Hoo harp, which was unearthed in the 1930s, which had very similar kind of design. And a more recent excavation in the last 15 years in the city of Trossingen in Germany, where a harp was found that was largely intact, and even the pegs still existed. Clearly, an instrument of this nature is not designed to play chords and melodies and accompany itself. It's more, like many early harps, it's more of an instrument of pattern, of inversion, even of percussive technique, and it's designed to play only really in one mode. So you need to retune it, find a tuning for each modal zone where you want to play. It's a wonderful instrument for supporting a singer who's performing in a mode, and of course these Boethian metra are obviously modal, and some of them are quite suited to an accompaniment by such an instrument. I think such an instrument was used for that type of work, but it's most often associated with epic poetry, with the recitation of long epics such as the Beowulf epic, where even in the poem of Beowulf we have a description of the Shop, the creator, singing and playing on what was called harp then, and I think this instrument can be safely called a harp. The following song is one of philosophy's teaching songs to Boethius. It will be sung by Hanna Marti, and I have a harp accompaniment which fits it modally and to some extent rhythmically. And in this song, philosophy sings to Boethius following a dialogue they've had about the uselessness of human endeavor in the face of fortune.
Incitus pontus versat arenas, aut quod steli feris editan noctibus celo sidera fulgent. Tantas fundat opes, nec retrat manu pleno copia cornu, humanum miseras haudi Diogenus cesset flere querellas. find that the song in this particular setting with the accompaniment of the harp very well shows the kind of two atmospheres of this song. So there are humans, and the song is basically about how humans do all of these things and receive all of these things from fortune, but nonetheless are never happy. And I feel like the harp accompaniment has this kind of restless character, this kind of searching around, kind of like ants scrambling around. And Philosophia is kind of above it all, observing it and describing it. And that's very much my function in this song. I guess in this piece it's very noticeable how there is a certain pulse in the text. Si quantas rapidis flatibus incitus pontus versat arenas. This is something that is already in the poem itself, but it's definitely enhanced by the melody. Si quantas rapidis flatibus incitus. So the melody actually helps me to play with this, to be creative.
I think this figure comes to some extent from the text as I heard Hannah perform it. It has a certain kind of density and insistence, and it's a teaching song. So it's somebody really trying to get a message through in a very intensive way. And so I kind of divided the instrument into two modal zones. The one zone being this, which is very strong in terms of medieval modal theory. Adding that second note to it, which is a highly powerful third above the final note. So that's my one zone, and the other zone is this above zone. And those falling figures, especially the falling third and the falling fourth, emphasize that because they end up playing the fifth. So the fourth below and the fifth above. And I'm constantly going back and forth between those two zones, kind of paralleling the melody that philosophy is singing. And then rhythmically, I'm trying to subdivide that and intensify it. An instrument like this can't play loud or soft really very well, but it can intensify through density of articulation. And so instead of playing, I can make it denser with reflections below like this one, which is a highly dissonant interval in the medieval world. But it's that sound, or which parallel a bit what she's singing. So I'm in a way taking inspiration from the melody and taking inspiration from the modal and rhythmical way that she sang the text, and transposing them into the medium of 5 fingers or 4 fingers and a thumb and 6 strings to see what kinds of patterns emerge. And once I had some initial patterns like this one, I can play for 5 hours with those notes. Or up here, it goes, that's the link between the upper and lower zones. Above, middle, below. And so it's a constant play of going from high to low with that passageway in the center, and dropping out sometimes to let her say some important words, especially when she's in a more complex part of the melody, just disappearing and creating nothing, and coming back in as she's finishing a phrase to underscore its meaning.